Well, hello everybody. Today's goal is to actually work on my steering and try to get the steering wheel position set up and everything. So what I've done is I've installed my seat and the pedal assembly, the 39 pedal assembly, to where I'm comfortable. So my feet reach, the gear shifter is, comfortable for me. Not too cramped. The seats move back a little bit from stock, but I have the and then also the engine and transmission is installed, and I've put a board across that would represent my floorboard. I bent my pedals to where they're somewhat equal on each side of the steering shaft, just temporarily right now. And the height of them, as far as they go up and down, I have those matched up. So what I'm trying to do here is I got a pretty good deal, really good deal, on 1940 Ford sedan. I was just looking for the steering wheel, but I got the whole column, steering box, everything for really good price. So that's the steering wheel I want to run. So that steering wheel is slightly different than the F1 steering shaft, the way it attaches to the steering shaft. So my plan is to use several different parts from several different years to try to get this to work in my car. So the plan is to use the 1940 Ford steering wheel, the upper part of the shaft, the column, 1940 column, which I'm going to have to shorten that and the shaft. I took this has a really nice workable ignition and column lock. This right here is the ignition switch. So what they did is this was on and off for the ignition. You'd flip it on, and then you had a push button, and you'd start the car. And then when you wanted to turn it off, you just flip it off. And this key right here, see how it goes in and out? That's the column lock. It would lock the column so nobody could steal your car. I'd like to keep that. It's in fairly good shape. The column itself has some rust, holes and stuff, but I think I can fix that. And also, since this is a sedan, this was a column shift model, and mine's a floor shift, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cutting the column shift mount off of here and then finishing off that bell with metal so it's nice again. But anyway, I want to run the upper portion of that whole thing so that my column lock works. And this column lock has to match this little sleeve on the shaft for it to work. So I kind of got a plan on doing that. These ignition switches on the back here, right here, from what I've read, they're pretty hard to come by in decent shape. I had a pretty good one on my 39, so I took that off and it fit up to the 40, so I kind of lucked out there. That's nice. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, oops, let me back up a little bit here. Another part of the puzzle is the Ford F1 steering box and a Model A mount. I've cut each one of those off, and I'm going to weld them back together once I get the position set. Because right now, I can move this up and down, rotate it on the shaft to get the height of my steering wheel. But once I get it all set up, I'll tack weld that and then take it to work and have one of the good welders weld it up for me. But this Ford F1 shaft comes down into a gear. That gear is kind of galled up a little bit. So although it feels somewhat smooth when you turn it, but it is galled up. I've seen it. So I'm going to try to take the one out of the 40 out and see if that's a good clean gear. If that is, it should fit right in there. I believe it's the same part number. So, and then I'll use the lower half for the 40 shaft, or the, yeah, I'm going to have to use this 40 shaft, the lower gear, shorten this shaft some because it's a little bit too long, and then same with the column. I'm going to have to shorten that. And they're all keyed. It's keyed down there, and it's matched up down here with the column mount. So I'm going to have to keep it all lined up also when I shorten it. So that's the plan for today. That's what I'm going to try to get accomplished, at least put together to where, and tack welded. So we'll see how we go from here. Alright, so to get started, to pull this 1940 shaft out, the column lock was on the shaft there, a couple of set screws, took those out and got that off of there, and that allowed me to pull the shaft out of the box, and I can check the gear here for any galling. Got to clean it up first though. Okay, I got it cleaned up, and there is a little bit of galling right there, but I don't think it's bad enough to replace, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Okay, I was able to install the 40 shaft worm gear and steering shaft, and I also used the 40 sector shaft and gear because the Ford 4852 F1 was pretty galled up. So they looked identical. So I went ahead and installed all the 40 gears and shaft into that F1 box. So now I should be able to slide my steering shaft on there, put it in the car, and see how much I need to shorten the shaft. Okay, I have the all the 40 steering parts in the F1 box installed, shaft, all that stuff, and what I did is I measured the F1 shaft, which is pretty close to the length I wanted. It was 2 3/4 inches shorter than the 40 shaft, so I guess it'd be a good place to start and shorten this 40 stuff 2 3/4 inches. Because right now the steering wheel is pretty far back, you know. So I think it has to come forward a little bit. Well, I marked a center line down the length of the steering column, and I wrapped a piece of tape around the column that's 2 3/4 inches wide to give me a nice, hopefully even cut around, and to shorten it up. Okay, so try number 2. I took another 3/4 of an inch off of the column and the shaft, and I think my steering wheel is in pretty good position. I compared it to like a stock Model A, and it's pretty close. It's comfortable. I can use the gear shifter. Can use the gear shift, and also my knees, I can raise my feet up to get the clutch and the brake without hitting my knees against the back of the steering wheel. I have room on the side there so my hands don't hit the side of the door, and it's pretty comfortable where I have the seat now, so I think I'm going to stick with that position. I think it's pretty good. I have the parts tack welded, you know, just because I had to cut them loose and adjust stuff, but I think it's pretty good. My column drop or mount, let's see, I put a nut under there to space it down slightly. I'm going to have to make a spacer or something that looks kind of good in there. Let me see if I can get a better shot of that. Yeah, I'll have to make something that looks better. And I'm also thinking maybe I should put some sort of a brace along here to support that better than just the dash. But for right now, my goal is to get the steering wheel in position, and I think I've got it. I need to go in and tack my steering box where I want that rotated up. Take that in too when I get the other stuff welded at work. So that's it for now. Okay, well, I have it final set. I tack welded the steering box parts together, and this is kind of the view. I think it's pretty good. I changed my lock position and I clocked it horizontal. That looks much better. And the column is basically centered in between the pedals. I have room for my feet. It's not too cramped. And as far as the exhaust goes, there's enough room there if I curve my headers out right away. You know, it's hard to see, it's dark, but there's enough room there, and turns nice. So I think I'm set. I just need to take it apart and final weld it. View from the front. It's not too bad. I mean, you see the top of the steering wheel a little bit when you're sitting in the driver's seat, but it's in a good position. Any lower and it'd be hitting my knees when I push the clutch or the brake. So I think it's good for me. Just thought I'd show you a picture of this view.